I'm truly indebted to Professor Vogel for his kindness. Members of the audience may wish to know that Professor Vogel is only staying in Hong Kong for a few hours. He just came from Shenzhen this morning and he will leave Hong Kong this afternoon. And to make a special trip to CUHK to give a special lecture in celebration of our 50th anniversary.
It so happens that the first time I came to Hong Kong for research was 1963, the fall of 1963, and I spent a year here at that time. So this is also my 50th anniversary of research in Hong Kong. I've always felt it's kind of a special home to me in Hong Kong, the Great Bridge, and where one can speak out much more freely than one can speak in the mainland. And I think especially for my delicate topic today of Sino-Japanese relations, that Hong Kong is still a wonderful bridge. It's an open place where you can discuss freely. So at this situation now that the tensions have grown over the islands, I think both countries behave very strong. Some Americans say that the problem really stems from Chinese assertiveness, and it's the expansion of Chinese assertiveness that's caused the problems with the Philippines and Vietnam and now Japan. I don't think that's a very fair assessment. In my view, what you have is that in history, the ownership of many of these places has never been decided. Now that more action is taking place to define the boundaries. So each country, it's not just China, also Vietnam and the Philippines and Japan are trying to stake their claim to certain territory that overlaps. In my view, Deng was right. It's more important to have good relations with the major powers, and little bits of territory are not that important. But when nationalism runs strong and takes over, then it's very hard to maintain that. So I think that what happens now is that the most we can hope is that things will settle down quietly. I think in the short run, one needs agreements between China, Japan, the United States, other countries about sort of the rules of engagement and sort of actions that can be taken place so that to avoid the risk of accident. I think that the risk of accidents now are very serious and very dangerous. I think that's one thing that needs to be done. I'm moderately hopeful that in the next few years that the leaders of both countries, who will have to find ways to show that they are standing strong, but who are both committed, I think the leaderships of both sides are committed and realize that they must work together to establish a much more peaceful base, and that it's good for their country and good for the world if they do so. In the meantime, I think there are going to be a lot of tensions, and I must say that the role of a place like Hong Kong, which is open and has fair discussion where the Japanese feel comfortable the way they do not feel comfortable now in Beijing and Shanghai, the role of Hong Kong in providing a neutral, effective, independent voice for people to have discussions is, if anything, all the more important.
Ezra, we know each other for 3 decades.
More than that.
And, and I've enjoyed your hospitality in Cambridge as well. But I want to ask you a tough and sensitive question. You gave a very thoughtful analysis of Sino-Japanese relationship. But it seems to me you leave out one important factor, and that is America itself. And it is the American militarization that is creating this permanent atmosphere of tension and war in the world, and also poison your internal atmosphere. So, as the professor from the best university in the world, I was from there, so I would want to say that. How do you think Harvard should, in the long run, change American thinking?
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me try to put this in what I think is a context for understanding how it got this way and how it's going to change. And I think that the people after World War II, the leaders of America at that time, were not just thinking in terms of our narrow interest. They felt in the long term the world would be a better place if we took a more active role in trying to get problems when they started. And I think that was the framework in which we militarized. Now, I think the role of the American military will go down rather rapidly, more than people are prepared for. And the explanation is simple. It's a budget. And we'll have to come to some kind of understanding with China. And I think there are many Americans who are ready to do this now. If we could find some confidence and agreement in how to do this stability with China, I think it would enable both sides to avoid military tensions. I want to thank you all for your patience in listening to an old man, and I wish you all your success in the next 50 years as in your last 50 years. Thank you very much.
Well, let's all thank Professor Vogel.